In Malaysia, I must say that all the banks have already started their whole digitization journey, and including Islamic banks in Malaysia. So the difference really between us and we call them the incumbent banks, is that we don't have any physical touch points. From a customer experience perspective, I have to take my hats off to some of the incumbents who've done pretty decent, pretty well in their digital offerings and through their mobile banking app. So the key differentiator is that for the first time, we, the digital banks, are really reaching out to customers without any physical footprint. From a retail banking perspective, all banks have got retail mobile banking app. So for us, the key differentiator is really how we are engaging our ecosystem. So I'll be very honest. I would say retail banking is pretty much commoditized. And products are pretty much homogeneous. So for us, it's really because we have a large retail ecosystem. Our retail business, we've been here, this year is our 40th anniversary. We've been in Malaysia. We have a credit company this year will be about 28 years old. So the bank is a natural evolution to providing our customers with that extra thing. So if you were to look at, Tesco Bank or Sainsbury Bank, so it's an evolution that is really how we're positioning ourselves. And we have consciously opted to take on the Islamic banking license, largely because our current sister company, AEON Credit, which is at present has got the largest market share in motorcycle lending. Our financing in AEON Credit is already Shariah-compliant. And looking at our segment and looking at the majority of the population of Malaysia, who are Malay Muslims, and we felt that, again, this is an extension of what we've already been doing. Our financing in AEON Credit is Shariah-compliant, is Islamic-based. So that would really that's where I feel the key differentiating factor for us in particular. And I believe so with the other digital banks as well. Most of us already have an ecosystem, largely sort of like a digital footprint kind of ecosystem, and then that we will all be, using to expand or extend our customer experience. For us, in addition to the retail side, is also small businesses. On our retail side, we have suppliers, we have wholesale buyers, we have tenants. We have quite a number of malls in this country, so we have thousands of tenants. And that's the other thing that we want to do. Not just our customers are not just people who buy from us, but our business partners. That is the key, I would say, differentiating factor from, say, the traditional banks that focus largely on banking to the public, whereas we are talking about plugging ourselves into our ecosystem. Well, I have been a corporate investment banker for almost all of my life. But about, say, 12 or 13 years ago, when I was heading Hong Leong Islamic Bank, that was the start of my digital journey. It was a time when things were, finding its way around, and I was tasked to build an Islamic business in a Chinese bank. And so I found that digital could be my edge. Digital solutions could make that difference. And the ability to reach out. This we experience in other markets outside Malaysia where we didn't have large number of branches, but the way to reach out was through digital channels. And then and also in the last bank I've been in, so the focus of was continuously looking at providing different solutions. Customer behavior is constantly evolving, so you could do something that would work for you, but maybe not for the Gen Zs today. I mean, I'm learning all the time about what makes the Gen Z tick. Well, we have developers here who are Gen Zs. Yeah, some of our leads are Gen Zs already. They're the older Gen Zs. Well, first and foremost, payments, whatever it is, transfers, that you cannot get it wrong, right? Because it's people's money. That's key. And also the ensuring that we facilitate transactions. So my main focus at the start would be largely ensuring that we will be able to enable, or we must focus on enabling transactions, with good UX. The other thing is, of course, we have a community of loyal customers already. We have a loyalty program. And so that will be embedded in our app as well. So, before this, you would get a physical card from, our sister companies. Now, as an AEON Bank customer, you will automatically be an AEON membership loyalty member. That will facilitate, again, you don't have to carry many things. You just get your phone and then you can shop it anywhere. We have not just AEON Mall, AEON Co, Daiso, AEON Wellness, we have a slew of other stuff. And to facilitate customers' rewards, loyalty points, conversion of those points to CASA. Retail banking is highly commoditized. So first and foremost, we have to ensure that we take care of all the hygiene hygiene solutions, products, and features with a funner, easier UX. I think you're perhaps more intuitive. And architecturally, design-wise, we're different from a traditional bank because we don't start from the web and then we move to the app. So the design it starts at the app. The biggest difference is we're cloud-based. We're 100% on cloud. Yeah. So the agility of being able to respond or make changes should be a different experience than a bigger bank. But the key thing is trying to make it as intuitive as possible, and we want it to be as engaging as possible. You need to give them current, the basic savings account, the ability to save money, to transact money, cards, make payments and bills. Basic. So introducing the AEON loyalty points within our app itself is rather novel because I don't think any other bank in the country has that yet, where you have a retail loyalty program embedded with a bank. Well, to be honest, that 3 billion asset is capped based on a certain capital. The central bank did not say that you're going to be capped this much for for a specific period of time. What they're saying is, and I can see their point, is to be cautious also, right? What if you don't make it? Then what's going to happen to all this, the monies? So it's progressively, they'll see your progress. And if you can reach 3 billion very quickly, and you want to go beyond 3 billion, there's a conversation that you have to take with them. It's called a graduation. We are in a foundational phase. Foundational phase is up to 5 years. Foundational phase has got all these caps, but if you want up to 5 years. Well, there is room for disruptors, but there are also rules on responsible financing. So you can't quite run away from that. I see, for us, we would like very much to focus on the small businesses because there is a real gap. From Bank Negara's own data, there's a 90 billion gap of small businesses that are not being funded. And that's partly why I'm here now, because from where I was before, I was taking care of the big corporates and large SMEs. The reason why we weren't able to help them is because of we were just unable to undertake credit evaluation in a different way. And without the use of humans, credit committees and stuff like that. And Of course, program lending is always backed by collateral. The industry finds it difficult to measure them, their creditworthiness. One is, of course, the usual stuff we would ask as the banker is give us your 3 years track record or your 3-year statement. If they're very cash, we might not be able to see it. It's not captured in their accounts. And then we also usually just ask for collateral. So my hope is that, and this is AEON's principle, AEON has always been focusing on the underserved. So if you look at AEON Credit, the fact that we have 30% market share of the of motorcycles loans is because other people don't really want to do that. Most of our customers, 50% of our borrowing customers in AEON Credit are first-time borrowers. Businesses in particular, especially those within our ecosystem, small-time suppliers, right, who've never been able to get funding by using technology. So this is where I think the biggest gap right now is AI-driven platforms in enterprises. Regardless of what people talk about AI and chat GPT, it's still very nascent. This is my view, very nascent. So if you, over time, if we can find feeding of data into a credit model, an alternative credit model, people would say it, by not just looking at the traditional stuff, but look at other things, right? Including behavior. It could be your utility bills, if that's an API that we can fetch, right? Or how you pay your phone bills, that could help in building the credit score. For businesses, at least you're giving them the rod. Historically, we've always been a trading company. We still are. We are, as a group, we're 200 over years old. Very rich heritage of trading and business. And we want to really support our micro entrepreneurs and micro businesses. And if you look at our GDP in Malaysia, more than half is being supported by small businesses, right? And yet they cannot grow. Yeah, for the fact that AEON Group is in its 8th generation. The reason why they can last this long is the constant innovation, constantly innovating. And that is a key to a successful enterprise. If you don't innovate. So whilst we are, people say, oh, you're old. Yes, and we have a large bank in AEON. The fact that Japan says we better go for a digital bank. That in itself, that tells you as a group and the mindset of the founders and the principals are still very much constant innovation. We have a big bank in Japan itself. So culturally, of course, a good combination of culture, the discipline of the Japanese, and maybe a little bit on the wild side of the Malaysians, and imagination. I think so, yeah. And the fact that, we've been able to flourish here for 40 years. Yes, we are a household name, and we are constantly opening branches. We just opened one last month. We're opening some more next week. It's like, I think we have 50 over now. So that's part of let's imagine, or maybe reimagine retail. So our role is to facilitate. We should be relatively invisible at the back and make it, facilitative. Yeah, and then shop around and get rewards, redemption, look at things. So part of it is reimagining retail within this. So that's from a retail perspective, and reimagining businesses. That's key to us. We are first and foremost a retail brand. It is very important that we first engage with our retail customers. Yeah, and again, our retail customers could be a retail customer on one hand, and could be our business customer on the other, right? Just like our the motorcycle loans that we give out to, we work very closely with the motorcycle dealers. I want to stick to what we're meant to do, which is, even if it's wealth, it's micro wealth. We're still looking at the rakyat, very much. But we also hope that savvy Gen Xers like yourself, and Gen Ys who are older Gen Ys, that will use us because we're intuitive to use. Oh, we're easy. We might not be the principal bank for the older guys, but very much so maybe for the younger guys who have never ever stepped in a bank branch before. I do have some, like I say, very tech-savvy Gen Xers who are looking forward.
Okay.
And particularly those who have been shopping with us for the last 30 years.
Okay.
This is very interesting, yeah. So they would ask, when are you launching? Do you have a savings account? We've had some, chats with some young people. And I'm very encouraged to know that some of them know about stuff like, what's your profit rate going to be? What's your offering? But some really don't know because they've only been using wallets. So how do we tell them you need to be insured? You cannot go and say a premium of 1,000 ringgit. It's got to be truly micro and it's got to be small bites enough. It's very important that people see us as a safe brand. A brand that's been around 200 years. When you talk about a new bank, there's always this worry. That's why 70% of digital banks around the world don't survive. We have a bigger bank in Japan. You know what I mean? We have and we're 100% owned by the AEON Group. So that is important. And of course, the next thing is the ability, intuitiveness is key because it's UX. So UX needs to be good, right? If UX sucks, then you lose your customer in the first instance. Safe and also able to extend to retail experience. I think this is important. But one other key thing is for the Malaysian public to be very aware that we are Islamic, that we are Shariah-compliant, and that, I have very reputable scholars. We're highly regulated by Negara, and that they do not have to worry whether their money is halal or not. So this is important to the majority of Muslims. I, for one, I don't bank in conventional bank at all, right? So for those because this is faith, for those that's driven by faith, and we're going to tell them that we're safe. The whole idea behind getting the digital banking license was to create an innovation hub. It is a commitment that we had also to the central bank that we are going to be the innovation hub for the AEON Group. Or AEON Financial Services Group first. We actually have a lot of data already within the group. We are at present working on running, we're building our credit model based on AI/ML, and we're running the data before we go out to the market to see how it behaves first. In life, you need to have backup. Operations is both straight through and manual backup, where need be. We're about 200 people now. Majority engineers, tech, majority tech. As a bank, we have several layers. We have our first layer, which is our Sharia team, and then we have a Sharia committee, and then we have Sharia review, we have Sharia audit. So that in itself runs with its full first, second, third layer controls. Because by law, we are governed by the Islamic Financial Services Act. So by law, we have to abide by Sharia rules. So we're a digital acquisition channel. The moment you become an AEON Bank customer, I will give you a membership. If you're an existing member, I would be able to pick that up ready from your NRIC or My Cards. So we can generate the code from our app. You can go and shop. You can get points. You can convert them to CASA. And I hope within 12 months, I will also be able to start reaching out to the small businesses. Well, telling people about what it is and who we are, explaining education. I think that is especially for people who are not familiar with the concept of a bank without a branch. Although they don't go into the branch, they still wonder how that's going to happen if something goes wrong. AEON has a bank. Is this a real bank? So, those are the kind of questions that, we foresee. It would take a while. I also remember back in the day, 30 years ago when Marks and Spencer's came out with the first bank, I was like, Marks and Spencer's bank. And I'm excited by the fact that the digital natives are very familiar with this. For the small businesses, it's not so much about technology. It's because they don't have other alternatives. So they're more likely to start working with us. So here comes also the education to small businesses. That's the biggest challenge. The country is still very much a cash economy. Yeah, and I think the other bigger challenge is the digital divide. The very people that we might want to serve, maybe the people who don't own the kind of devices that they need to own, right? Because we cannot support outdated OS or unsupportable OS. So I foresee that as a challenge. The digital divide is real. If you're a digital bank, the only way you can become the customer of a digital bank is to use your phone. I saw that in India because I was following their progress. It became difficult, and I think the government started having to finance these devices for the farmers and all that. It's easy to say, remember when India went through the whole demonetization? And what about the guy who's really sitting out, we don't know where? Does he even have connectivity? Having said that, it's no different with in the incumbents as well. Yeah, I mean, I've had to deal with those as well.